Thanks, Max. I thought I was going to get a clicker today, so I put in loads and loads of slides. There's loads of slides. I'm Heidi Lidholm. I am a online business consultant for small business owners, particularly who want to build their business online, email marketing, content marketing, and who want to design online programs and sell them. That's what I do best. I'm going to just figure out how to move this along. Spacebar. Yeah, great. So I'm going to talk to you about staying motivated when bootstrapping. And for me, bootstrapping was a lot about staying motivated when you're feeling broke, when you're on your own and you're supposed to be the master of everything. And if you have read The 4-Hour Workweek, which I think most of you have, this was the dream. And this was the reality, or is the reality. Long, winding roads where you're doing your very best to get somewhere, but you're probably super creative and the roads keep winding. So I'm going to tell you my winding road story as to how I got to here, which I'm pretty happy about. I have a profitable online business that is location independent. I have worked from 10 different countries in the last 2 years, and I have clients all over the world who I love. And I have a team a VA in the US and a team in India. So how did I get here? After college, I went to Whistler for the Winter Olympics, which was awesome. And then I came back and I wanted to get into the digital space and learn more about marketing. So I actually did an internship in Amsterdam with these really cool digital agency, and we were pitching to big names like Microsoft and Häagen-Dazs, and it was really great, but like any good internship, they decided that it was easier to not pay anybody. So at the end of the 6 months, they got a new intern and I had to go home. So I went back to Ireland and I moved in with my parents so I could learn website design and graphic design. So I spent, I would say, a good month or 6 weeks listening to the worst voices on YouTube and trying to figure out all these ways of navigating Dreamweaver and Photoshop, but I did it and I got 3 clients and that was awesome. And at the same time, maybe it was like the struggle of being online, I started to get really into like the mind, body, spirit side of things and started writing a lot, which helped probably with all the frustration and struggle from Dreamweaver, and found this book called How You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And this will all make a little bit more sense later because it plays a big role in where I am now. Then I got a job as a junior graphic designer, and I did a marketing campaign where I got a Guinness World Record. So that was pretty awesome. And then I decided to go back to the mountains. So I went to Austria, and I thought I'd be able to do my website design business there, but if anyone has been to the Austrian Alps, they're kind of very traditional, and internet isn't so good, and not so interested in online business. So that didn't really work out, so I started writing. So I was the careerist for a female blog in the UK, even though I didn't really have a career and I was living in the basement in the Austrian Alps. But that's what you do. And so I needed a real job. So I started to apply for jobs, and I thought I would go back to Amsterdam because I loved it there. And actually there was lots of opportunity in Berlin. So I came to Berlin and I did a few interviews. We actually came up on the train via Austria to here, did some interviews, and this amazing digital agency flew me back a week later and I got to work in this incredible digital agency. So everything was fantastic on paper. I had this fantastic job in this award-winning agency, really great team, working on social media, Facebook, big, huge global brands. Again, looked really great on paper, but I realized that I was really unhappy. And I felt really unfulfilled. I felt really stressed out by my work. I used to dream in tweet form. So in my dreams, I could only talk in tweets. Because I was so stressed out about my work. So at that point I was like, I think I need to do something about this. This is not right. And also I had no time to travel, and as you can see I'm a bit of a travel bug, so it wasn't working. And during this time when I figured out that it wasn't really working, I'm kind of proactive, so I was looking for solutions, and two things happened. I came across the 4-hour work week, and I found a life coach in Berlin. And when both of those things collided, you get asked, what do you want? And you really have to then figure out what it is that you really want, because if you're unhappy, then there's something that's making you unhappy. So I had to figure out what I wanted. And really after reading the 4-hour work week and seeing, and knowing that I had taught myself website design and graphic design, and I'm quite a good self-starter, that I wanted to be location independent. I wanted to at least give it a go, and I wanted to be able to travel and work from anywhere. Obviously I wanted to build a profitable business. I think I always knew I would have my own business. I wanted to feel creative and free, write, and really use all of my skills, because in the agency, just the way it was set up, the way it was, I was kind of like boxed into one area instead of being able to pull in like all the creative skills that I have. So I decided to go out on my own. And this is really where the 4-hour work week, long winding thing began. That wasn't even it. So I started off really strong. I decided I was going to go for it, and I registered a company in Ireland. I got my logo with 99 designs. I got like office stationery, did the website, everything, got co-working offices, went around to all the various different ones in Berlin, was really going hell for leather. And it was working. I got fantastic clients, and interestingly enough, my first 2 clients were in the healing arts. Which I'll come back to again later. And then I took a sharp right turn into the Berlin startup scene, and that was great. I got to work with some really great startups and make some really great connections here, but because they're all bootstrapping themselves, they want their own in-house team. So I kept hitting that wall a few times, and then, you know, what about the dream? I want to be living everywhere. I can't be working for your team in Berlin. Plus, I registered a company, so I got to keep that going. So I put this photo in here for anyone who has had a shit apartment in Berlin. During this time, I lived in a place with no heating. We just had a small little old school stove. So I wore a bear suit the whole time while I was trying to figure all this out, and like strategizing and marketing and pulling out all these big plans in the bear suit. So I knew there was people online who needed my services, and I knew I wanted to work online. So that was just the big thing of trying to figure out as how I could make it work. So the question was to niche or not to niche. And I think a lot of people run into this when you feel like you have a lot of skills and then there's a lot of people who you can serve. How do you narrow it down? So I narrowed it down in 2 ways. I went back to the website design roots. It felt like the path of least resistance. And I started working with spiritual entrepreneurs. And that worked really well. My business got serious momentum. I was making like serious money. I had all these clients rolling, and it was easy to get clients. And then I just got so much work that I was just stuck behind my computer the whole time. I was working with a team too, but I was just managing them the whole time as well. And again, I found myself being unhappy. And this was a little bit more difficult to deal with, because at least when you're working for someone and you're unhappy, you can kind of blame them. But when you're working for yourself and you've gone on this big journey and you've set up your whole company and you find yourself being unhappy, it's like, fuck. Okay, so how do I dig myself out of this one? So again, I hired a business coach this time to talk about things, thinking that I was going to really more expand into more of a website design agency. And she said to me, why don't you just leave the website designers be the website designers? You know, let the people who are passionate about it do that. That was a bit of a hard pill to swallow, because I liked doing it and I had built all this and I had kind of made it a bit of my identity. Where in actual fact, she was right. It wasn't my passion at all. And it was to work with spiritual people, but not to be stuck behind a computer designing websites. So I had to move on from that. So luckily enough, my website clients also needed marketing strategy. So it wasn't too difficult of I mean, it seems easy now, but at the time it actually was a little bit larger of a mindset shift and a work shift. But so I created this content calendar and I started selling it off my website, and that did really well. So that was kind of my first taste of like passive income, even though I didn't really know what that was at the time. And I started to do successful sales generating webinars, and that started to work and brought in the clients. So, and that's what I kept doing. So I got clear on my big vision, and that really helped me to then target who I wanted to speak to and to reach them. So I grew my email list, which has been growing and growing ever since. Now I create content, which people seem to be loving and really responding to, and I'm creating products. I've just done my second online program, which is going really well, and I work with clients one-on-one, of course, all over the world. So, and Facebook communities. If any of you haven't got a Facebook group or are looking to expand your business, it's a really great way to find your clients online. And I run my business now from anywhere, and it's really, really great, and I am really, really happy. And that's just back to let you know what it is again. And so I'm going to just talk a little bit about the main lessons for staying motivated when you are on this long, winding path. Is the quicker you can figure out what you really want, the better, because the first 2 clients that I had were people in the healing arts and were really my ideal clients now, but I kind of veered off into all these long ways, and I didn't have a clear vision at the very beginning as to who I wanted to work for and what I wanted to build. So that is really important, and if you don't have that start there, and try not to get too sidetracked on it and just keep building. It doesn't matter really how crazy it sounds, you can actually do it, and that feeds into the purpose of just having that big vision, following through with your passion, and the people part of when you're broke and you want to make more money, the best way to do it is to surround yourself with people who are making money. They say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if that is something that you need to shift, get around people a bit more, get around more creative people, and get around people who do have success so that you can learn from them and start soaking that up. On staying motivated when you're on your own, strategic thinking is probably the one thing that I would tell you to do to walk away with today. I have one coach who calls it strategic thinking. I have one coach who calls it journaling. One's a man, one's a woman. They're both millionaires. They both do the exact same thing. They start their day by writing out, asking themselves what they want, and they write it out, and then how are they going to get there. And then ask themselves what other questions they need to do, but they are the vital cornerstones, I would say, that most millionaires do, and they check in on that multiple times a day. So strategic thinking, super important. Invest in yourself. When you're on your own, investing in yourself is really important, whether you do it in a mastermind like what Max runs, or you wanted to invest in a coach. Having someone that helps you take a bird's eye look on your business and keeps you really also accountable as to where you are. I did the mastermind with Max, and what was really great about that for me is that accountability part, where you think that and you are moving forward, but you have so many pieces on the chessboard that have to move at the same time, that if even somebody is holding you accountable for part of it, you're going to get there a lot quicker, and you're actually going to get it done and follow through. And it's amazing the difference it makes. Then the next thing to remember, it sounds so easy, but it sometimes is a lot more difficult to put into practice, that you are now the boss. And by that I mean that when you have worked in the corporate world, there's lots of like rules and processes and ways that things should be, and they have to be certain ways, and your managers or your bosses will have told you that. So when you are working for yourself, ask yourself why you think that it has to be that way, because more often than not, it actually doesn't. You're just kind of following through on a belief that was given to you. So challenge that more, and you'll be more creative, and you'll find your way around or through things much quicker than you would without. And relationship capital. This is something that can help you build your business very fast, very quickly, and that is to actually make relations every day. So get out a spreadsheet and put in 5 names every day. I mean, I'm only doing 1 name at the moment, but my coach does 5. And if you want to really be exploding your business online, it's going to be built on relationships. They might not all respond to you straight away, but then you can respond, you can email them again. And I don't mean sending them like a huge sales pitch or anything, just reaching out like you would, like you approaching someone here. You're not going to approach them and just blurt out what you sell. You're going to be like, hey, how are you? Well, you know, what do you do? How could I help you? How can you help me? That sort of thing. But be conversational, but be looking to build relationships and keep track of it so that you can always like go back and say, oh, I spoke to you 2 months ago, or we spoke a month ago. Are you still having trouble with that marketing? Can we talk? And on staying motivated when mastering everything. Prioritize. Again, this is more to do with when you have the big vision, and when you have the big vision, prioritize as to what your money-making activities are, and make sure that you're doing them each day, because otherwise you can get so bogged down on the busy work and the have to do and the task list, but your task list is never going to go away, ever. So prioritizing the money-making ones, your relationship capital, and your strategic thinking, and you'll be investing far more in yourself. Celebrate your wins. I know that I didn't do that for quite a while. I kind of was always like, that's not enough, or that's not good enough, there's more to do. But the more you can just get happy with where you are and celebrate it, the positive effect is excellent. Outsource not only what you can't do, but outsource what you dislike. You know, there's Fiverr.com and many other ways and tools of hiring people these days for quite cheap to just get things off your plate. So don't bog yourself down with things that you don't like doing. And work on the cloud. If you really do want to be location independent, then set yourself up from the beginning on the cloud with as many cloud-based tools as possible, so that if you're on a beach somewhere and your keyboard gets covered in sand, you don't have to panic too much. And yes, I did have a roundup. So to anybody who hasn't started yet, or for somebody who is meandering between ideas, just start with what you have and just start. You know, clarity comes from action, not from overthinking. So just take action now with whatever you have. There's no such thing as an overnight success. I don't know if anybody is a fan of James Croydon. He's a UK comedian, and he just got a show over in the States, and he's been called an overnight success, even though he's been like a struggling actor in England for like 11 years. So there is no such thing as an overnight success. Being an entrepreneur is as much an inner game as it is about marketing tactics. So I hope that I kind of showed you that today, that it is a lot about the big vision and the strategic thinking and what you want, and you are the boss, you are the entrepreneur, you are everything, so you have to keep yourself on the straight and narrow and be responsible for yourself. And yeah, work from the inside out. And be prepared to fail. Why can't I think of his name? Richard Branson. He says that he fails 300 times more than he succeeds. So don't be afraid to fail. It's not really failing when you look back on it, because you got somewhere else or you got a new thing. So yeah, they're all my big lessons. Keep calm and stay motivated.
That all happened in 5 years?
2, 3.
Okay.
2.5, kind of. Quick mover.
Yeah.
How do you decide,
You first, and then we'll go behind.
how do you decide when it's a good investment to hire a coach?
That's a good question. Know what you want to get out of it. And I also like to ask the coaches who their coaches are, because I think it's important that they're investing in themselves and moving forward, and not just kind of, going stale, but like not progressing too. And you have to really listen to your intuition. I've also hired someone who I had to like bail out of and lost money out on, because it wasn't, I got into it and I did a session or two with her and I was like, oh, no, this is not for me. So there is a bit of trial and error, but I've learned from everything and from every one of them. So Yeah, know what you want, which is most important to get out of it, and see where if they match those needs. Did that help? Okay. Yep. You're good? Okay. Yep. I'll come over there.
Your big vision?
What's my big vision?
Yeah.
It's very big. Right now, I'm working with spiritual entrepreneurs. So I have this, I'd like to see it as a movement, and it's called the Soul Boss, which is business owners who are successful in service. So I really want to help spiritual business owners and people in the healing arts build businesses online, reach more people online, become profitable, get over all their money woes, and create many different, I suppose, not many different business models, but a membership model out of that, and a directory also. So that will be one facet, and then I have lots of other visions too. Yeah.
So do you have a 4-hour work week?
No. Don't have the 4-hour work week, nor would I really want it, to be honest. I would be bored with a 4-hour work week, but it's more the concepts that I wanted, and I believe I've achieved them, so that I'm happy with. I should work a little bit less, to be honest, but we'll get there. Hang on, I'm going to go over here for a sec.
Could you elaborate a bit on how to build relationship capital?
Yes. Get an Excel sheet and start with people who you have contacted before. I don't know if you've reached out to, I do strategy calls or 20-minute calls with people where we can just like jam about their business and see where they're at. And I will normally then follow up with those people every 2 to 3 months just to check in and see how they're doing. I've also started cold emailing people, which has been a new thing for me. So people who I come across like on Facebook, so they'd be in like groups that I'm in. I'll then check out their website, and then I'll email them directly about like maybe they are hosting retreats or they have some online programs, so I'm asking them if they'd like some help with marketing those. And just making it about them, making it as less salesy as possible, and really trying to keep having a conversation in mind, like as if you were meeting someone this evening and how that conversation would roll, and bring that into an email rather than just speaking at someone. Oh, and also one more thing, when you're reviewing the email before you send it, see how many times you've said I in it, because sometimes you think that you're talking for or to people or for them, but actually you're making it more about you from the way you're standpointing in your sentence, so just be careful of that one too. Cool. Yep.
Do you use like an incentive to have people sign up for your email list?
Yes, you need to have that these days.
Can you elaborate on that real quick?
Yeah, I have 2. I have a 14-day Live Your Legacy. It's a video series, so they go through and they get a video each day for 14 days. And it's a really great tool because anybody who doesn't work with me in a strategy call, I can send them to that, and then normally by the end of the day, end of the 14 days, they're contacting me again. Which is fantastic. And then I have a new one, which is called the Abundance Attunement, and it is about your money mindset. And that's a slightly different model where I have delivered all of the content. So it's a video each day for 7 days, and I deliver it all in a Facebook group. And so everybody has to come into the Facebook group to get the video. And then every day I've been posting in there ever since, and they really love that and really respond to it, and that's where I've been getting my next round of clients, so that's been really cool.
Last question.
Who wants it? Oh, yep, go.
What's in the way of you working less?
What's in the way of me working less? That's a good question. I'm moving into that area, but I'm setting things up at the moment. So I'm getting a membership site ready. I'm also moving into kind of a group coaching model.
From an inner game point of view.
Oh, from an inner game point of view. It's a good question. If we're going to go there, my inner game is, not that it's kind of okay, but I work with a healer at the moment also, so I check in with them quite a bit. I meditate every day. I have my morning ritual down, so I'm kind of in a space. I have been going through these spiritual somersaults, which has been kind of weird, but I am feeling pretty good about where things are in that area. So I do want to be working in a different way, but I'm building myself to that, so I'm just trying to get some momentum. Yeah.